Okay, so the video that we're planning to do, which is now recorded, is going to take far too long to edit. So we're going to do something quick today, and I mean today. Like I'm filming this the day of upload, which shows how like organized this whole thing is. But anyway, this is, as the title would suggest, rating Disney World attractions based on how good it would be to stop on them. This is already going well. I've got it on the website sorted by location and then filtered a whole bunch of stuff so it doesn't have all of the animals from Animal Kingdom. Speaking of which, we're starting with Animal Kingdom. We start with the 10 out of 10 Kilimanjaro Safaris because Kilimanjaro Safaris, if you've stopped to see animals. Like in fact, likelihood is you've stopped because there's an animal in the way, and that's not only just more time on the safari, but it's also more time getting to look at animals. Here's a picture of giraffe that I took in said situation because Kilimanjaro Safaris is great. We then follow up by with Wildlife Express trains, which I legitimately couldn't even tell you where it is. I don't think I've ever ridden, but it's like a train, so I guess 6 out of 10. It like it's probably comfy. Expedition Everest. If you're stopped, you're probably stopped in either one of the you're probably stopped either in the turning point or on a chain because it's a roller coaster. And I don't know how good of a view you really get from the like turnover point. I like 5. Let's go with 5. Then to Dinosaur Land USA, which honestly I'm kind of still surprised is a thing. Dinosaur. I, some of the show scenes are probably good. Some of it's kind of awkward though. I hope if you've stopped fully and the vehicle isn't still gyrating. I 4 out of 10. Triceratops spin, somehow the worst of the spinning things, even though they're all exactly the fucking same. And yet it's going to get a higher rating than the Magic Carpet, saying I remember what this rating is, 4 out of 10. To Pandora, Avatar's Flight of Passage. I never got around to riding this, and I don't know how the vehicles actually work, but looking it up, it looks real uncomfortable. Like stopping on a motorcycle, but you can't put your foot down. Uncomfortable. Like that just like 2 out of 10. Now the journey. We get to bring up the anything with boats is likely to start bunching up and bumping into each other if it stops point. So that immediately docks a point. But honestly, Nava River Journey is pretty, and as long as you're not stopped in the weird fake waterfall, like you'll probably got a decent stuff to look at. So 6. We'll go with 6 out of 10. We now move on to Hollywood Studios, and we start with Star Tours. Star Tours is an okay space. Like 7 if you're on the back row, 6 if you're on any other position, because the back row you get to lean against the back and it's all comfy and great. Then sticking with Star Wars, but not in the but actually in the Star Wars bit now. The Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, I didn't go on, but the chairs look comfy and the room's kind of nice. And it's not like you're trapped with a lot of people. In fact, likelihood is you're just trapped with your party, maybe one other party. As solid like 7 out of 10, I think. Rise of the Resistance. God, there's so many show scenes to potentially be stopped in, and I don't know what's the good ones and what's the bad ones. So as just I don't know how these things are gonna loop, and I don't know where you get to stop. I'm gonna say like a solid 5 out of 10, like solid middle of the road. Sunset Boulevard starts with the Rock and Roller Coaster and potential to be stopped not only upside down but also in the dark, and also in the dark and upside down. Like a 1. No, that's a 1 out of 10. No. Now the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Yes, because being stuck at the top up for even longer just builds suspense, right? That's the whole point, right? I don't know. I don't ride these sort of rides normally. I will if we're with the right people, but I generally anyway. That's beside the point. Like, it's certainly better than Rock and Roller Coaster, so I have to at least give it a 2 out of 10. The alien swirling swirls. The alien swirl. The alien swirls. The alien swirling saucers. Got it that time. I forgot that these like weird broken teacup rides even exist. 1 out of 10 for being boring. Slinky Dog Dash, a roller coaster. Likelihood you get stuck in a launch point. And this is actually a good example of building more suspense. Like 5 out of 10. No, 4 out of 10. Toy Story Mania. Potential for infinite points if you're stopped in the right place. If you're stopped in the right place, it's a 7 out of 10. If you're not stopped in the right place, it's a 4 out of 10. We move on to Epcot. Journey into Imagination with Figment. People have mixed opinions of this ride, and that's fair. It's a ride that's deserving of mixed opinions. Honestly, It depends what show scene you're stopped at. It's one of those like, God, oh God, can you imagine being stopped in the smell scene like that? That's just torture. That's just straight up torture. So, anywhere between a 2 and like a 6, because that's just a mess. Living with the Land, low key one of the better rides in all of Disney World. Like just yeah, oh, it's really good. Like it's what it's like the underdog. It's the plucky underdog of all of everything. As long as you're not in the bit just before the greenhouse or just after the greenhouse, I think it's pretty good because the greenhouse is cool to look at, and getting more time to look at it is just cool. Like we did the walking tour the first time we went because it's just really interesting, and like the opening show scenes are pretty neat too. It does dock a point because of the whole boats bashing potential thing, although there is a bit more tracks involved when it comes to living the land, it's still very much a possibility. I'm gonna go with a solid like 6. Yeah, we'll go with 6. Mission Space immediately a negative out of 10 because I already don't like that ride because of claustrophobia. Like the G-force and the spinning and all that, that's fine. What I don't like is the claustrophobia. That is so it is so close and so tight. So yeah, I've been on that ride the first 2 times I went, and probably won't do again unless I'm with the right group of people, and even then I'm going to be not enjoying it because that space is too tight. That space is too tight. That space is so fucking tight. Z is with Nemo and friends. Basically, there's a lot to unpack here because you could be stopped literally in front of an aquarium and cool, you just get to sit and watch an aquarium for a while. But also, there's a likelihood that you're not only stopped in front of an aquarium, but you're stopped near within proxy of a looping song that's really annoying, and we'll get to that later. But I guess overall, I'm going to say a 4 out of 10 because the show scenes are nice, but the repeating dialogue would get grating. Soren, I I guess if you're stopped, either the show has paused or the show has ended, and it just isn't getting you to fall. If the show's paused, that's going to be really weird to stare at the paused version of that screen, and if it's ended, then you're just going to stare at the blank screen for a while, or God forbid you're not on if you're not on the top row, start getting hyper aware of all the dangling feet. I guess unless you're into that, and then maybe that this score is built bumped up, but like I've always found like the air and like the actual space, even without the effects, pretty nice. So 5 out of 10. And now for the reason I came up with this idea: Starship Earth or Spaceship Earth, whatever you wish to call it. It's a 9.5 out of 10. And why does it leave that 0.5? Because the fucking paperboy. Starship Earth, if you're stopped in Spaceship Earth, that's prime napping real estate. That is somewhere you can just chill and relax and close your eyes for a little bit, or just enjoy the simple little show scenes. The only reason why the paperboy gets negatives is because it's constantly yelling, and that's annoying. Like everywhere else, it's low light and comfortable. Yeah, 9.5 out of 10. It's the only it's the closest we get to 10 out of 10, I think, other than Kilimanjaro Safaris. Test track. One of my favorite rides, like in all of Disney, but I honestly don't know how good it is for this ranking. Like the low light of the show scenes, I guess immediately gets at points, but most of the places it stops isn't going to be interesting to look at. It's going to be between the sections, and it's not going to be great to look at. But at least the car is fairly comfortable on the low lights because you're not going to get stopped outside. Is good. So I like a 6, like a 6 out of 10. Frozen Ever After. Ooh, potential for backwards boat bumping. No, thank you. 3 out of 10. Grand Fiesta Tour. Yes, getting more time to look at those like all those animations and scenes. Probably a good thing, but boat ride, so boat bumping, so not the best thing. Like honestly, comes out to probably like a 4 out of 10. Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid is a ride I generally forgot existed until I was putting this together. I I honestly believe that there are the songs might get repetitive, but it depends on how much you like the songs from from the Little Mermaid. I don't know why I said "my." I That's a Freudian slip and a half, but yeah, so it depends on how much you like the songs from the Little Mermaid and what scene you get stopped on. I think the best scene to probably get stopped on is one really near the beginning where you're like slowly going under the water because that would be really nice to chill on, and on like those seashell Omnimover cars. Like they look fairly comfortable. I'm settling on like I'm setting on like a positional 6, but I feel like that could come down to like that could go up or down based on how much you like the song you're stopped at. The Jungle Cruise. If you're stopped, then I don't know how the Jungle Cruise stops. Is the thing, but assuming it does, then just like the rest of the Jungle Cruise, your level of enjoyment of the Jungle Cruise comes down to how good the skipper is. And honestly, I don't think I've ever had a bad skipper on the Jungle Cruise. So like we're talking like anywhere from a 5 to an 8 based on quality of skipper. The Magic Carpins of Aladdin, the worst one. I already forgot what I gave Terra's Top Spin, but let's just give Aladdin a 2 because it doesn't really deserve much. Pirates of the Caribbean, great show scenes, generally worth staying around, like to have more time for. Like you don't miss anything going through normally, but hey, I don't think it's a bad thing to stop longer on. Even the song isn't inherently annoying, like so it doesn't lose points for that. The only thing it loses points for is boat bumping. So I guess I'm honestly going to give Pirates of the Caribbean like a 7, and I'm surprised at that result. The Barnstormer. I'm straight up giving the Barnstormer an NA because I'm like, it's a 1 minute roller coaster ride, and I don't know if you physically could get stopped on it, so I'm not going to rate it because I don't think you can. Dumbo the Flying Elephant, and now we get to the original, we can actually discuss the problem with the whole concept is of these rides, where if it stops, it's hard to tell if it stopped early unless you really know how long these rides are, because, I mean, it's not going to make much of a difference, is it? I'm yawning. I'm yawning. That's how little these rides matter. Is I'm yawning. It's a Small World, my old nemesis. The song already gets looped for 13 minutes in multiple different languages, across the time that you're on it. And honestly, 13 minutes is already far too long. There's a reason why this one ride I don't intend to ride in it. In all of Disney's It's a Small World, unless I'm with the very right people, and even then, it's probably best to see how they get annoyed by it eventually. But yeah, no, this gets like negative a billion. This is the lowest score. The Mad Tea Party. Oh no, the teacup ride stopped. Honestly, the teacup ride coming to a stop soon probably still comes to a stop normally. Unless it doesn't and it just breaks suddenly and everyone gets whiplash, in the case there's a whole other issue to deal with. But yeah, no, like this is this is fine. This just makes you think that Mad Tea Party is kind of even more disappointing than it looks already. So I'm gonna say like a 3. Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Honestly, if it's any show scene other than the Hepalumps and Woozle scene, it's like a 7. If it's the Hepalumps and Woozle scenes, it's like a 4. Because I don't need to be stuck in a triple nightmare. Pass it through a triple nightmare, fine. Stuck in a triple nightmare, I'd rather not. Peter Pan's Flight. Well, you took the 40 minutes and/or managed to actually get a fast pass for this ride to get on it. Why does this always have such a long queue? I do not understand. So at least you're getting your time out of it. It's like maybe a 6. No, I'm gonna go. It's a 7 for most of the ride, but it's like a 9 if you're over the London show scene. Prince Charming's Regal Carousel, a name no one actually uses because it's just a carousel. It's also just a carousel, so just like the teacups, are you really gonna notice if it stops soon? And I don't think it's gonna make too much of a difference. I'd lose his points for being a carousel versus a teacups because teacups is just better. So like a 2. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. If you're getting stuck, you're likely gonna get stuck in the main show scene, and it kind of just comes down to how repetitive that starts feeling and how long you're stuck. Overall, I think it's probably like a 6, saying it doesn't get super annoying, and then it might get dropped a lot lower. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, as I just mentioned, likelihood is if you're gonna get stopped, you're gonna get stopped on the chain, either at the top of the chain or at the bottom of the chain, waiting for whoever's stuck at the top of the chain to move. And yeah, there's not too much to look at. I don't know. The ride vehicles is kind of comfy. You're okay, I think. Like yeah, likelihood is if you're getting stuck in Big Thunder Mountain, you're gonna get stuck in Big Thunder Mountain somewhere that's a problem. So I'm gonna give this a 5. Splash Mountain. If you're getting stuck on Splash Mountain, I hope to God it's not in a show scene. Like if you're getting stuck on Splash Mountain, you're getting stopped either just before a chain or just before a drop. And yeah, there are some of those outside, and if you get the ones outside, you probably get the bonuses of view and shit. So that's probably quite good. Like loses a point for boat bumping, but that is like a solid 7. If you're inside in a show scene, like show scenes as you go by are really cool, but as soon as you have to watch them more than like 2 or 3 times, it gets really repetitive and annoying. So that drops down to like a 3, and that's a 3 with the boat bumping like deduction. The Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion is one of those ones that I don't know where to rank it because there's so many potential options for where you stop. Like Madame Leota's might be a really good place to stop because of all the effects, but might also be terrible because of the looping audio. The ballroom scene might be cool because it's one of the more interesting scenes to watch, but it also might disillusion you having to look at the Pepper's a Ghost effect for too long. But basically, I think anything that isn't an actual like like something I wouldn't want to look at is probably like an 8. Anything that I actively don't want to look at only drops it like maybe 1 or 2 points. So at least, so let's just cut our losses and call it like a 7.5. The Liberty Square Riverboat. If I'm on this, I'm already for a chill. Not sitting down because I'm not one of these disillusioned people that thinks there's a lot of seats on this boat. But I'm already here for a chill, like jaunt around the river, and taking a pause isn't necessarily a bad thing for that either. And like I'm gonna be on there with people anyway. Like that's not a ride you take on your own unless you really want to. So I guess I will have people to chat about, and probably would be chatting about stuff anyway. So just longer to have that conversation. Nothing potential to see social scenes, but even then, like nothing major. Like I honestly, it's not a bad thing. Like a 6 out of 10. The Astro Orbiter. I am real conflicted because the reason why I never read the go on this ride is because heights, which yeah, and also the queue's awful. Like tying a queue to an elevator was a real good idea, Disney. But if you're stuck on the Astro Orbiter, you are stuck pretty high up, so that's a negative. But positive is you can get some real fucking good views if you get stopped on the Astro Orbiter. So I'm gonna put it. I'm putting it at 5. I'm putting it mid River Road because pros and cons. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin. Yeah, hell yeah. 9 out of 10. 3 points. Infinite points. Be awful shot like I am, and that kind of defeats the object. But yeah, most of the places you stop, you can probably get at least one target that you can keep shooting. Like that's just a lot of points. So that's great. 9 out of 10. Space Mountain. Darkness is not your friend. The straps probably aren't your friend. I don't know. I've never actually got around to riding Space Mountain because I've only been with family, and family don't really do roller coasters. I want to say like a 3 out of 10. The Carousel of Progress. It's technically a ride because it moves. I have been admitting all the other things that come up that are shows, but the Carousel of Progress moves. It's a ride. And honestly, if I'm going on the Carousel of Progress, I'm going to sit down and relax. So if it stops, I think it's just longer to sit down and relax. The only potential downside is if it replays the show whilst you're stopped. Um, Although it could be cool if you're stopped between shows. That might be an interesting thing. Yeah, no, like a 7, relaxing more than anything. We now come to a section of things that are stopped due to refurbishment, and we start with the River Rapids because that has recurring refurbishments because probably don't want to do that half the year. And from what I remember from doing it like once, there's not too many places it could stop realistically because it's a very, free flowing ride. I guess the only real place it could stop is the drop, which I did not know you could make river rapids with drops because the only other one I went to was Alton Towers, and that does not have drops. And yeah, which means the only real place you can stop is probably the blandest place you could stop. So 3 out of 10. Stopping on the Disney World Railroad, as I mentioned before, it's a train. It's comfy. Like I'm not going to complain about being stopped on the railroad if the audio track is going to be a bit odd. Overall, I give it a I'm gonna give it a 6. The Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover is apparently temporarily closed, but then considering the amount they're changing Future World, I'm not surprised. They probably have to change a lot of the stuff. I am such a big fan of the People Mover. I am like the People Mover is one of those rides that I pull up and just watch when I need something in the background because God, do I love the People Mover. I'm pretty sure I've been stopped on the People Mover, and there are very few places that are bad to stop in the People Mover. Even if you're stopped in the fucking pitch black bits of the People Mover, I think it's a generally pretty comfy thing. You're like the people you're with, if nothing else, you can have a decent conversation with, and yeah, likelihood is you're either stopped at an interesting thing to look at, or over people, and you can actually do the people watching that people say the People Mover is good for. But generally, I feel like the People Mover actually moves too quickly to do actual people watching. But if you stop, then that's not a problem. I've realized I've talked myself into the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover is an actual 10 out of 10 now I've thought about it. I guess we have two 10 out of 10s, and yeah, that's it, because the only other stuff that's left is water parks. So thank you for watching this surprisingly long and really stupid video. And yeah, I will see you next week, hopefully with the video that I've been teasing for the past like 2 weeks. It's all filmed, it just needs editing, it just needs putting together. Trust me, it should be out next week unless I have something actually come up. Yes, as usual, things on the screen, subscribe, links to other videos that YouTube does, because I don't have any reason to not or have that be automated for most of these videos. And yeah, I will see you next time. Ta-ra. Bye-bye.